Alright guys, so now we are at the cabling portion of the build. Okay, so first off, we're going to go ahead and connect the liquid cooling unit to CPU fan number 1 up here. And what I was mentioning before in my previous video about the liquid cooling unit getting in the way, it's kind of happening now. And again, it's nothing wrong with this one. It's overall, it's going to happen. I had a coming to light moment as soon as I almost started this video. I realized I never put the screws on the top of the motherboard, so I had to take the liquid cooling unit out, put those screws up there, and then put it back. This was almost one of those moments too, but thankfully it's right up here. Now, of course, we have these guys. Now, we could, of course, hook it up somewhere on the motherboard, but we want to make it look nice. And this video, I'm not going to walk you through 100% making it beautiful. I'm just going to walk you through getting it working. And then I'm going to go off camera and come back and show you how after I made it work, that it looks beautiful. But this part, I'm not going to leave it like that. There's a little rubber grommet right up here. And even though you can't see it, you can see it right here, and you can actually, there's nothing blocking it. So now what we need to do is just fish these cables up there. So I'm going to stick my finger on this side so that I can feel it on the other side. Grab these cables. All right, that's one. Okay, and then now the second cable, I'm going to do the same thing, just run my fingers in there, feel it, catch it, and then put it through. All right, so now we have that cable all the way through. We have this cable, and we're going to make it look pretty in a little bit, but again, I'm going to do that in a different off camera and then come back and show you just how nice it looks. I'm definitely not going to leave those cables just laying there. Now, one of the advantages that forgetting to screw in the rest, which I'm going to do in a minute, gives me is this USB-C connection that's in the back. You can see here there is no way to get it through. Right here is going to be the power supply cable, the 24 pin, the 2 8 pins, the USB-C, I'm sorry, the USB 3, and then the USB-C connection. So what I'm going to end up doing is fishing it through the back of the motherboard, which you have to be very careful. Now you can use, and I can show you back here. So exposing this right here, you can see a lot of the soldering points and everything sticking out through there. Now, they're not very sharp. Now you have to be very careful when you fish things through there, because if it breaks through that rubber, your system's fried. But you can see that these cables are very thick. They have a lot of plastic to them. So I'm just going to slide it through here, and also being careful that I don't break the board. Just slide it through here and it goes pretty easily. And then I'm going to fish also the USB 3. That's going to make me have to remove this tray just for now, because the way the cable is going under here. So I'm just going to make it go through here. So they have a lot of good things on this case, but a lot of weird things. Now, it could be just because of this case. I'm sorry, this motherboard. It is, first off, an EATX motherboard, and while the case does support it, it's EATX boards always fit a little awkward. So I'm just making sure that I'm not going to hit anything as I'm fishing that cable through. So one of the odd things that this case does, and actually I just saw a potentially different way, which I probably won't follow. Yeah, the other way is to fish the cable through here all the way in the top right hand corner, bring it down and then fish it around. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult, so I'm not gonna do it that way. Okay, so I have both of these cables through here. And now what I'll do is, because it's there anyway, I'm gonna fish 2 SATA cables. And you see how there's this cable on the top, this cable down here. Don't overlap cables. That's gonna add a lot of stress to the motherboard. So I'm just gonna fish that through there and then fish that through here. Because they are thin cables, those you can overlap, but these you cannot. Okay, so now that that's there, I'm gonna go ahead and attach them. Okay, I'm gonna bring that USB 3 cable. Sorry, this cable's in the way. Okay, I've attached that one. Now, I'm gonna fish this back through just so that we don't have a lot of slack. Now I'm gonna fish that USB-C cable. Just plug it right in here. Now, your motherboard may not have USB-C. There we go. A little bit of an eyesore, but I'll try to fix that up in a little bit. And then we're gonna go ahead and connect these SATA cables. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and screw in the motherboard. You see there is a little tension here. Okay, nothing bad. So usually with EATX boards, you expect a little bit of some problems because it is an enthusiast board. Enthusiast stuff doesn't typically come easy. All right, so there we go. Now let's see how we can do the 8-pin and the 24-pin. I'll start with the most difficult looking one, the 24-pin. That is going to be a little difficult. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to remove this. Actually, there's a grommet right here. I'm going to feed all these cables through the grommet and I'll be right back. All right, so in order for me to remove that grommet, it's actually a little bit more difficult than I thought it'd be. I actually have to remove to remove this plate to fit things through this grommet, at least so that I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to need to remove this plate. Now, in order to remove this plate, in case you want to know, I have to remove the front panel, which is not very easy, but I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so right up here, and I'm going to have to remove all these drive trays, which shows you all the cables. Okay, there's a little knob right up here, another knob right in the middle, and then another knob right up here. I just have to squeeze those and push those through, and that's much easier said than done. So just going to, and then that's also a good way to remove the wrap that they have on the inside. Remember how I peeled off the wrap on the front? They also have one on the inside. So squeeze it and push it through. Okay, that's the bottom. Now, while pushing out with my thumb on the bottom, I'm going to be squeezing that, and you see how that one came out kind of easy. And now I have my thumb in between there so that it doesn't push back in. Okay, I just pulled that one out. Now, the front also has the same, but because I've already undone the other side, these just kind of pop out. Maybe you got to push a little tiny bit. Okay, see, just pushes right out. Then the filter on the bottom, you have to just slide it out a little bit so you can remove the entire front face. Okay, so now in order to remove that, we have to remove this screw and this screw. It's probably going to be temporary, but we'll see in a minute. This is a good way to show you all the different things you can do with this case. Now I'm thinking I could fit that 24 pin through the grommet, but I'm not 100% sure because it is a smaller than average grommet. Okay, and then after removing those two, there is one more screw I need to get rid of. And that's this screw right here. It's a lot of work. Probably would have been easier if I wouldn't have put the power supply in there. Okay, now I can just fit my hand in the holes, slide it out. Okay, so this is the grommet. Now it's kind of tiny. Now I'm going to see if I can fit the 24 pin. Okay, now let's see. So I'm gonna have to remove the 4 pins because this is a 20 or a 24 so that I could fit that through there. And now I can bring that other cable through here. Now I'm not gonna go ahead and screw it in just yet, just in case, because it looks like I have to fit in the 2 8 pins as well. So I'm just gonna bring that up and connect the 24 pin ATX connection. Now that's not entirely Fractal's fault. This is also a design by EVGA, the way that they moved everything out here. So kind of a twofer there with the problem, but that's okay, as long as we have ways around it. I'm going to also fish the 2 8 pins. Again, CPU power. Okay, so we have them here. Now because the 24 pin comes on the outside, I'm going to leave this one here on the inside, and then also this one on the inside. That way the cabling just looks a little bit nicer. All right, now I'm going to toss this back here just for now. I'm not going to screw it in, just in case. All right, now plug that one in, and then plug this one in. All right, so both are connected. Again, I'll make it look a little bit nicer off camera. So it looks like we're good here. So now what we need to connect is the audio, then the USBs, and then the front panel header, the power, reset, and all that good stuff. So let's come around the back. I'm just pushing all those cables that I used towards that way. All right, now let's look for that front panel header. Actually, we have USB here. We're gonna feed it through this center grommet. It's right there, and we'll come back to it in 1 sec. And then here are the front panel header. Again, I'm gonna feed it through the grommet. Actually, let me go underneath all these other cables. That way I don't have to fight with cables on the way up. All right, that's done. Then the front panel HD audio header. Again, I'm gonna slide it under here. Then we're gonna slide it through the hole that doesn't have a rubber grommet. It's just the hole. I think that's where it's going to go. Right over here. All right, now let's turn everything around. Yep, that's where it goes. Okay, so then we're first going to go ahead and plug this guy right here. Okay, looks nice, right? And then we're going to go ahead and move these extra cables, these header, front panel header cables out of the way, and then plug in the USB 2.0 header. Okay, now we're going to plug in these guys. So now we need to look for, and this is going to be different on every motherboard, but we're going to look for the reset switch, which is this purple one right here. And if you can't read these down here, which it's very tiny silk screening, but you can always look at the motherboard manual and for your motherboard, and it'll tell you. Okay, so then we connect the HD LED. Right down here. Okay, so then we're left with the power switch and the power light. Power switch is going to be right here, the red ones. Okay, you can see connected. And now we're going to connect the power LED. We have to make sure the polarity is correct. See, this one over here is negative, and this one over here is positive. So we just have to look at the silk screening on the board, or again on the motherboard manual, and then connect them correctly. So negative is going to go on the left, on the right, sorry, and positive on the left. I'm lefty, so that makes sense. All right, so now we're good connecting here. Now we're going to connect the, well, we're going to plug in the video card. Let me zoom in up. And now I'm going to show you guys how to install a video card as well. So 1 second. Unfortunately, since I don't have a riser card, I can't put, I'm sorry, a cable. I can't put them over here on the vertical slot. So I'm just going to install it here. I'm going to be removing these two, the second and the third thumb screw. Now, while they are thumb screws, that's a very hard place to get in with your thumbs, or with your fingers, should I say. Okay, so now we're going to be installing this bad boy. Again, the EVGA GeForce RTX 2080 XC Ultra Gaming. So this PCIe slot here is going to fit right in here. So what you do is you line up right over here with back here, and then these little stubs right here, they're going to, there's actually holes back here. Actually, I forgot. This takes up 3 slots. So I need to remove the third one. Most cards take up 1, if not 2 slots. There are wider ones for extra cooling, like this one. So now we're just gonna go ahead, slide it in, and just push in. All right, so that's it, simple enough. You'll notice that little notch popped out. This right over here popped out and then back in to lock the card in place. So now we're just going to go ahead and screw that card in. So now all we need to do, I need to connect all the RGB stuff. Now, one thing about this motherboard, it is the dark motherboard, so it does not have the RGB header. I'm going to go ahead and connect the SSDs. Just going to bring these cables under everything. Okay, and now we get the SATA power, and I'm going to connect this one, the furthest one out. All right, so we're good there. Now let's go ahead and connect this fan right over here. Okay, and then we do have to connect this guy to a fan header. So let's see if I can get one right up here through the top. I should be able to get to the CPU one right through there. I'm hoping. And good, I can. Plenty of space. All right, now I'm just gonna pull that one through just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then I'll disconnect this one and just put it over. All right, so now we have the front fans. Plug this one here. This one here. And now we're going to go ahead and connect this guy to a SATA cable, SATA power cable. And then we'll connect one of these RGB pinouts right in here. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this is going to function, being that the EVGA Z390 dark motherboard does not have RGB, but that's okay. This should be able to address that. I'll definitely let you guys know. So I'm gonna go ahead, and actually I need to plug in the PCIe cables. And see, that's why I didn't screw it in just yet. Right now, the machine works. Everything is going to function as it should. Now I just need to make it look pretty, so I'll be back in a few. All right, here she is, guys. Event horizon complete. All the cabling has been set. Now mind you, again, because of the way I had to do that 24 pin, as well as the PCIe cables, and the two 8-pin CPU cables, I'm not 100% happy with it, but she doesn't look bad either. I was able to get the remote for the RGB right there. It is magnetic, so that kind of lends itself very well there. Now, it's not incredibly magnetic, but you know, it's magnetic. So then around here along the back, we can see the cabling. So the 5 1/4 drive bays, they help tons hiding cables. I have a little bit of a mess here and a little bit down here, but you can't see it, so it's good. You can see the cables I have coming out, and they're again hidden. I have a bundle of cable in here, that's okay. And then I have the RGB cable coming up here, and then right in here, hidden up there as well. So this has been the first time that I've done RGB cables. So I found it kind of cool, but the way that you would daisy chain each of those fan cables to each other, and then finally back here into that same cable that fed into that little remote you saw. And then again, we have the power for the fan headers, or for the fan, should I say, right here. The 3 in the front and the 1 in the back. So that looks really nice. And you saw me do this before. Now, one thing that I'm kind of embarrassed about, but whatever, I'll tell you guys. I had these fans blowing down instead of sucking hot air out, so I had to flip them around. Also, as per the instructions on the liquid cooling unit, the S36, it says when you have this kind of a setup, it's best to reverse the rear fan so that it blows air in. So I guess that's to help it cool. It's going to be getting air from the back and then up here, which is okay in my layout. The way I have this set up, I have it on top of a shelf like this, not like this. So it works very well. It's going to be sucking air in from the back, and well, not really from the back, but from the side. And then it's gonna suck that cool air up here, and then the cool air coming up here, it's gonna suck it up there, as well as regulate some airflow inside the case. Then again, you can see that remote right over here. Another thing that I didn't realize when I was doing it, the liquid cooling unit has some headers that you plug in each of these fans to. But there was also a spare one. I didn't realize where it went to. If you notice, that hub had 4 connections, so I plugged the power into that. Then I realized that one of these cables has this cable for the pump feeding through that cable, so that's where it's getting the power from that CPU fan header. So I was just confused as to where that power was coming from, but I got it. So again, this is the Event Horizon machine. You're going to see a lot more from me soon. So again, that was the hardware video, building the machine, and now cabling the machine. And you're going to see a lot more from this soon. Iggy out. See you guys.
Disclaimer, this product was provided to the author to do a review. All opinions are 100% authors and authors alone. For more information, visit bit.ly/dbdisclose. To have your product or brand showcased on Dragon Blogger, visit bit.ly/reviewmyproduct. Thank you for watching.